You were there. What was the was it tense? Was it loose? Was it how did it seem in person?
I mean, it wasn't loose. I think clearly, as you know, the first 2 minutes of that availability was about, you know, the game and the criticism and the broadcast and how he played against Connor McDavid and all that stuff. Like, I think it's pretty clear that he has been trained on how to keep the outside noise as outside noise, and he's a 19-year-old kid who is figuring out the NHL, and it's taken some time, and he's doing it in a situation that hasn't been super easy on the ice, given the team around him and everything, and you know the situation he's coming out of juniors, where he was the player that did everything, and you know he comes to the NHL and he's the focal point. He's the most skilled guy on the team for the past 2 years, so he's still in that. I assume he's still in that mindset of it's like, well, I have to create things, I have to make things happen, and you know, he's got the spotlight on him. And, you know, I think with the criticisms, both from, you know, the ESPN broadcast where it was Messier and Subban, and then the TNT broadcast with, you know, Paul Bissonnette and then the whole panel and everything, I want to say this. It's extremely nitpicky. It is the national broadcast covering the Blackhawks with the scope of what is the most interesting thing to talk about, or who is the most interesting player to talk about.
It's always Bedard.
Connor Bedard.
Yes.
Like to go, you know, as we mentioned on the over the game that was the Panthers game, where the criticism came from Messier and Subban about, you know, oh, Bedard screwed up on this play, he should be benched, blah 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 blah. Well, it was a sequence of events on that play, and TJ Brody was, you could argue, as equally at fault. Does the ESPN broadcast care to go in on TJ Brody? No, you go in on Connor Bedard because he is more of the focal point of the team as a whole. With last night's game, you have, you know, again, it's a national broadcast. What's the most interesting thing about the Blackhawks nationally? It's Connor Bedard. So you dissect everything about his game, and you nitpick the negatives without really giving much credence to some of the positives. I as far as I know, because I didn't see the broadcast, because, you know, being at the stadium, but there wasn't much said about the things he did right that helped set up some of, you know, the opportunities and some of the plays that the Blackhawks did make, and the negative, the criticism, like that is what people are going to, you know, latch on to. I will say what Messier was saying and what Biz was saying, not wrong. No. There are things that Bedard will need to correct in his game to really get to that upper echelon elite level of NHL player. But where you lose a lot of people is in Messier and Subban being like, you have to bench him because you have to send a message, or Bissonnette being like, he'll never be successful in the league because he can't get these little things in his game, these little details. He can't like be perfect on those little things, and it's still, he's 19. He's got no help.
Look, I think Biz calling it pond hockey yesterday was a little out of line, I thought, too, because yes, there were moments where he turned a puck over or was forced off the puck a little too easily or made an ill-advised pass he shouldn't have made. Fine. And like we say all the time, Derek King always used to say you have to coach the junior out of guys. It's coming. Bedard is also trying to do everything on his own. But that game-tying goal, Alec Martinez's goal, Connor Bedard did the board work to make that happen, along with Slackert and Donato. Like, he was also buzzing all night long offensively. Bedard was engaged. I think he possessed the puck more last night than I've seen him do all year in terms of physically carrying the puck through the zone, looking for lanes, looking for pass opportunities, ended up with an assist. Mark Lazarus, tweeted this today, and I thought it was interesting. He kind of broke down the numbers. Bedard spent the night going up against McDavid's line with Ryan Donato and Landon Slaggert on his wings. The Hawks out-attempted Edmonton 17-11, out-chanced them 9-4, and out-high-danger chanced them 4-0. They also outscored them 1-0 in those 12 minutes they were on the ice against McDavid. That is something that needs to be illustrated. Connor McDavid was a non-factor last night. And Anders Sorensen talked about it today, and you'll hear from him in a little bit here on the other side of the break zone. He put Bedard out there against McDavid on purpose. He was looking for that matchup. Mm-hmm. That's a teaching moment. And for Bedard to prevail in a head-to-head with Connor McDavid, look, Slaggert and Donato, of course, get a lot of credit for that line winning that matchup over the course of the night. Of course.
Yeah.
But the fact that just goes out the window and the montage they show, despite all those numbers that Mark Lazarus pointed out, the montage is Connor Bedard making mistakes. Mm-hmm. It just feels a little bit disingenuous. And I think they know it's going to get reaction. They know it's going to get clicks. They know it's going to get engagement. And I know that's the name of the game these days because, you know what? It's not about the quality of the content in a lot of places. It's about how can more clicks be made? How can more eyeballs be on our piece here or there? Mm-hmm. Whatever. So whatever's going to get, you could put up a post that says, what's your favorite color? There's people on Twitter that do it all the time. Like, what's a 10 to 10 album? And it gets 1,000 responses and 100 million views because everyone has a thought they want to share. It's engagement farming. And this is a lesser example of that because they knew that would be clipped and they knew that conversation would have hundreds of comments, hundreds of likes, hundreds of retweets, and everything is exactly accomplished as opposed to, hey, look how well Connor Bedard played defensively. That's not going to get the reaction.
Right.
So it's frustrating.
We all silly like the mayor.